Selena wasn't the kind of woman people noticed first in a room. She was 34, with ink-stained fingers from her job as a logistics coordinator at a mid-sized freight company, and a face that had seen more early mornings than lazy ones. She was steady, dependable, the kind of person who remembered everyone's coffee order, fixed the office printer without being asked, and never, ever made a scene. She was also deeply, quietly in love with her husband, Marcus. They had been married for 6 years. They had a small house with a stubborn leak in the kitchen ceiling they kept meaning to fix, a rescue cat named Biscuit who knocked things off shelves with focused malice, and Friday evenings spent arguing over whether to order Thai or pizza. It was not a glamorous life. Selena didn't need glamour. She needed steady, and Marcus had always been steady. Until he wasn't. Marcus was charming in the effortless way that handsome men sometimes are. He was a project manager at a downtown firm, always laughing, always the person everyone wanted more of at a party. Selena had never been a jealous woman. She trusted him the way you trust the floor beneath your feet, without thinking about it, because you have no reason to. The party was at their friend Dana's house. Dana threw them every summer, loud, smoky affairs overflowing with cheap wine and people Selena half recognized from years ago. It was a warm Saturday in August, the kind of night where the air sits heavy and golden even after the sun goes down. "Come on, Sel," Marcus said as they walked up the driveway. He squeezed her hand and flashed his easy grin. "Try to have fun tonight. You've been working yourself to the bone." "I have fun," Selena replied, adjusting the bottle of wine tucked under her arm. "I'm just selective about it." She smiled when she said it, and she meant it. Their parents were already there, settled into lawn chairs near the garden, laughing about something Selena couldn't hear from the gate. It felt warm. It felt like exactly the kind of ordinary evening she loved. The first few hours were exactly what she'd hoped for. She talked with Marcus's mother about her new garden. She caught up with a college friend she hadn't seen in 2 years. Marcus drifted in and out of her orbit the way he always did at parties, magnetic and social, checking in with her every so often with a light touch on the small of her back. But as the older guests trickled home and the night deepened, something shifted. The music got louder. The crowd got younger and looser. Around 10:30, Marcus appeared at her elbow, slightly flushed. "Hey," he said softly, leaning close. "I think I left my phone charger in the car, the one for my laptop. And I'm almost certain I left my gym bag at that sports shop we stopped at earlier. Could you maybe go check? My phone's at 4%, and I've got those early calls tomorrow." Selena frowned. "The sports shop? That's at least 15 minutes away." I know, he made a face. "You're the best, Sel. I'd go myself, but I'm in the middle of something with Dana's brother about that contract situation." Because she loved him, because she had never been given a reason not to, Selena nodded, grabbed her keys, and left. The sports shop was closed. Of course it was. She tried calling Marcus to tell him, but the call went straight to voicemail. She drove back, mildly irritated but not suspicious, her mind already drifting toward whether they should leave early and watch something at home. She returned to find the party in full swing. She moved through the kitchen, past a cluster of strangers, and looked for Marcus. He wasn't downstairs. She asked Dana, who was refilling a snack bowl, and barely glanced up. "Oh, I think he went upstairs. Said something about a headache." Selena climbed the stairs. The hallway was dim. The noise from below was muffled. She walked toward the bathroom, but the door was open, light off. She turned to leave, and that's when she heard it. A low laugh behind the closed guest room door. A laugh she recognized instantly. She stood very still. Her hand found the door handle. She didn't rush. She turned it slowly, the way you do when part of you already knows what's on the other side and is giving yourself one last second before knowing for certain. The door swung open. Marcus was there. So was a woman Selena didn't recognize, young, maybe 23, in a sundress with one strap slipping off her shoulder. They separated the moment the door opened, but not before Selena saw everything she needed to see. The rumpled bedding, the knocked-over glass on the nightstand, the way the woman's eyes went wide and her hands flew to her hair. Marcus stood up. "Selena, don't." Her voice came out very quiet, calmer than she felt, calmer than she had any right to be. The woman slipped past her without a word and disappeared down the hall. Selena watched her go. Then she looked at her husband, really looked at him, and felt something irreversible happen inside her. Not a breaking, more like a settling, like something that had been suspended for a long time had finally hit the ground. "It didn't mean anything," Marcus said. He reached for her hand. She stepped back. "You sent me to a closed shop," she said. "You cleared the room on purpose." He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Selena turned around, walked back down the stairs, and smiled at Dana on her way out the front door. She got in her car. She drove to a parking lot 3 miles away, turned off the engine, and sat in the dark. She did not cry. Not yet. She sat with the weight of it pressing against her ribs and let herself understand, completely, what had just happened. Then she opened the Notes app on her phone and began to write. She didn't go back to the house that night. She called her sister Priya, who asked no questions and opened the sofa bed without a word. When Selena walked through her own front door at 7 the next morning, Marcus was sitting at the kitchen table, unshaven, eyes hollow. He stood when he saw her. He looked like a man who had rehearsed a speech so many times it had gone stale. "Selena, I've been calling you." "I know." She poured herself a glass of water. Her hand was steady. "I'm so sorry. I don't know what. It was stupid. She doesn't mean anything to me. She's nobody. I was drunk, and it was a terrible mistake." "She has a name," Selena said. He blinked. "What?" "She's not nobody. She's a person." She looked at him evenly. "But I'm not here to talk about her. I'm here to get my head straight." In the days that followed, Selena did not explode. She did not throw things or cry at the dinner table or lock herself in the bathroom. She moved through the house with a quiet, focused energy, which was the most unsettling thing she could possibly have done, and she knew it. She went through their shared bank accounts. She found charges she didn't recognize, hotel receipts in the city, dinner reservations at restaurants she'd never visited, ride shares to neighborhoods they had no friends in. The pattern stretched back 9 months. The woman at Dana's party had not been a single lapse in judgment. Selena had simply been the last to know. She called a lawyer on a Tuesday afternoon, sitting in her car on her lunch break, speaking in a low, even voice. She took notes in a small spiral notebook. She asked questions she had never imagined needing to ask. Then Marcus's mother called. "Sweetheart, Marcus rang me. He said you two had a rough patch at the party. He sounded devastated. You know how much he loves you. Whatever happened, I just want you to know that marriages take work." A rough patch. Selena closed her eyes and breathed slowly. Marcus was already rewriting the story, softening it, filing down the edges until it became something forgivable, something small. He was counting on her pride in their marriage, her hatred of drama, her lifelong habit of being the steady one, the quiet one, the one who kept everything running in the background while he got to be the person everyone noticed. He had badly miscalculated. Selena kept acting normally. She went to work. She made coffee in the mornings. She said good morning and have a good day, and she watched Marcus relax incrementally, the tension leaving his shoulders like air from a slow puncture. He thought she was softening. He thought she was deciding to forgive him. She was deciding how to leave in a way he would never forget. There is a particular cruelty in being the last to know. Selena had felt it in waves, the humiliation, the sick backward looking at every moment she had missed, every weekend trip she had believed without question, every late night he had explained away without her ever thinking to push back. Some of the people at that party had known, or guessed. She had been the punchline of a joke she hadn't been told. She decided to correct the record, not with rage, with facts. She drove to Marcus's parents' house on a Sunday afternoon and sat at their kitchen table. She laid out what she had found: the bank records, the hotel receipts, the timeline she had assembled in her notes app over the course of a week. She used no dramatic language. She used dates and numbers. She thanked them for the tea and drove home. When Marcus arrived back that evening, his phone was already ringing. He stood in the doorway and stared at her. "You went to my parents." "I told them the truth," she said. "You are destroying my family." His voice cracked with something between fury and disbelief. "I thought we were supposed to be working through this." "You were working through it," Selena said calmly. "I was building a case." She went to bed and, for the first time in weeks, slept soundly. Next came the broader circle. She didn't gossip. She didn't make phone calls to air dirty laundry. She simply stopped performing. When Dana texted asking if everything was okay, Selena replied honestly. When mutual friends reached out, she thanked them and said she was doing well, given the circumstances. She let the circumstances speak for themselves. Within 2 weeks, their social circle had quietly sorted itself. Some people chose Marcus. Most, once they understood what had actually happened, did not. Then a text came from an unknown number. "Hi, I'm Jess. I was at Dana's party. I want you to know I had no idea he was married when I met him. He told everyone you were his roommate who was out of town. I'm so sorry. I blocked him the next morning. You deserved so much better than this." Selena read it 3 times. His roommate. She had been reduced to background furniture in a story he was telling other women. She had been edited out of her own life. She saved the message. Then she forwarded it to her lawyer. The house had been bought with an inheritance from Selena's grandmother, a woman who had worked double shifts at a textile factory for 40 years and left everything she had to her granddaughter. Selena had made the down payment in full, kept the inheritance documentation carefully separate from their joint accounts, and maintained every record with the same quiet thoroughness she applied to everything in her life. Her lawyer found this very useful. Marcus had assumed, as people often assume when they haven't done the reading, that divorce meant an automatic equal split. He was partially right. He was also, as Selena's lawyer carefully explained, partially wrong in the way that mattered most. Selena didn't want the house. She had never loved it the way she was supposed to. It was full of choices that now felt like evidence of a life she had been living alone. She wanted out of it. She wanted out cleanly and completely. She contacted a real estate agent. She had an offer within 4 days. A quick sale, which meant a slight reduction in price, which she accepted without blinking. Speed was worth more to her than money right now. She told Marcus the night before the gathering she had invited their entire circle to. She had called it a fresh start barbecue. Everyone was welcome. No drama, just forward motion. Marcus had taken it as a peace offering. He had actually said, with a small, relieved smile, that he was glad she was finally being mature about this. She had smiled back. She had meant none of it. The afternoon of the gathering, people arrived to find Selena standing in the backyard, calm and composed, next to a house that had been almost entirely emptied. The furniture was gone. The walls were bare. The rooms behind the sliding glass doors echoed faintly when anyone walked past. Dana arrived first and stopped dead. "Selena, where's everything?" "Sold," Selena said pleasantly. "The dining set went to a family across town. The couch went to a grad student from my office. I kept the bed in the spare room for one more night, but that goes tomorrow." Marcus pulled into the driveway 10 minutes later. He walked into the backyard, looked at the empty house, looked at Selena, and went still. "What did you do?" he said very quietly. "I finalized things," Selena said. She did not raise her voice. She did not need to. "I know you've been telling people this was a rough patch, a moment of weakness. I thought the people who mattered to us, deserved to have the actual story." She reached into the folder she was holding and began to pass out printed pages, calmly, the way she distributed handouts in work meetings. These are the bank records showing 9 months of hotel charges. This is the message from Jess, who believed you when you told her I was your roommate. This is the timeline. She looked at Marcus directly. I'm not doing this to humiliate you. I'm doing this because I spent 6 years being the steady one, the quiet one, the one who made everything run in the background. And I want the people in my life to understand what I was actually being steady for. The yard was completely silent. Marcus's mother looked at her hands. Dana stared at the grass. His friend Devin opened his mouth, then closed it again. Marcus took a step toward her. Selena. The house sale closes Monday, she said. Your share of the equity, after the quick sale deduction, has been transferred to an account for your attorney to collect. It's not a large amount. Quick sales don't get top dollar. But I didn't need the money. I needed the exit. She held out the last piece of paper. That's the address for Priya's house. Her husband has a truck. Your things will be collected Tuesday morning between 9 and 11. She looked around at the people gathered in the empty yard. Some were staring at Marcus. Some were staring at the floor. A few were looking at her with an expression she recognized. The same expression she had worn standing in that hallway at Dana's party. The look of someone who has just understood something they can't take back. There's a grill going, she said. The burgers are done. Help yourselves. The grill goes with the house Monday, so you might as well use it. Then she picked up her bag, hugged Dana for a long moment that said more than either of them needed to say out loud, and walked through the empty house for the last time. Biscuit was already in the carrier in the back seat of her car, making the specific noise of a cat who had been gravely inconvenienced. Selena laughed. Actually laughed, the real kind, for the first time in 3 weeks. She started the engine. She didn't have an exact plan for where she was going. Priya had a spare room. There was a small apartment she'd seen listed online, 2nd floor, south-facing windows, hardwood floors, a little balcony barely big enough for 2 chairs. There was time. There was, she realized, with a sensation like breaking the surface of water after holding her breath for too long, a great deal of time. She had deposited a portion of the sale into a new account that morning, her account, her name only, the first account in years that had only one signature on it. She had called her grandmother's old accountant about an investment she'd been putting off. She had emailed 3 women she respected professionally to ask if they wanted to meet for coffee. She rolled down the window. The August evening came in warm and heavy, carrying the smell of cut grass and someone's backyard charcoal grill. Selena had spent 6 years being steady for a man who was not. She had kept the house running, kept the finances in order, kept track of every appointment and every bill and every small domestic detail, while he walked lightly through their shared life, taking up all the space in the room, laughing his easy laugh, charming everyone he met. She had been his floor, invisible, relied upon, never once acknowledged. He had told another woman she was just the roommate. As she merged onto the highway, the city spread out ahead of her in the low evening light, and Selena felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe not in years. Not happiness, not yet. Something that comes before happiness. The feeling of being exactly who you are, without softening it for anyone else's comfort. Without making herself smaller so someone else could seem larger. She felt like herself again. Completely, without apology, entirely herself. Marcus would land on his feet. Men like him usually did. He had charm and a good job, and people who would help him rewrite the story until it became something he could live with. He would be fine. But Selena was going to be more than fine. She pressed her foot down on the accelerator. Biscuit complained loudly from the back seat. The city lights came up bright ahead of her. She was only just getting started. Trust isn't a gift, it's a contract. And when that contract is broken, quietly, deliberately, over 9 long months, the only honest response is clarity. Not rage, not bitterness, just the cold, clean truth, placed in front of everyone who deserves to see it. Selena didn't lose her marriage. She found out what it had actually been. And then she walked away from it on her own terms, with her name, her grandmother's money, and her self-respect fully intact. That was enough. That was everything.